To never be manipulated again, one must begin by abandoning the childish belief that men are governed by honor, or by love, or by the pursuit of a common good. Strip the illusions from your eyes, for they are the very tools by which you are controlled. If you accept that all people act in their own interest, regardless of the words they speak or the virtues they claim, you will begin to see the hidden strings behind every gesture, every favor, every alliance. The first mistake of the manipulated is to assume the loyalty of others is pure. But loyalty is currency, not charity. It is offered only as long as it serves the one who gives it. If a servant obeys his master, it is because his bread depends upon that obedience. If a friend offers support, it is because the benefits of your alliance outweigh the costs. Even love, that most praised of sentiments, decays when tested by misfortune or inconvenience. Therefore, to place trust in the emotions or proclamations of others is to place your fate in hands that will discard you the moment your utility wanes. A wise man knows that behind every smile lies a calculation. This is not cynicism, it is survival. The one who manipulates you has already done the arithmetic. They have measured what you can offer, what you fear, and what you desire. They cloak their demands in kindness and mask their goals in appeals to morality. They rely on your need to feel good, to be admired, to belong. These are the strings by which you are moved like a puppet. Reject the fantasy that some people are different, that a select few are guided by higher principles. Even those who claim virtue must eat, must climb, must secure their place. If their actions ever seem selfless, examine the outcome. Did they win favor? Did they enhance their image? Did they gain the secret obedience of others who now believe in their righteousness? Understand this. Even martyrdom can be a form of self-interest when reputation or revenge is at stake. Some are more skilled at hiding their motives. These are the most dangerous. The clumsy manipulator may be caught in their lies, exposed by contradiction. But the refined one wraps manipulation in beauty, speaks the language of ideals, and hides ambition behind humility. He does not demand obedience, he inspires it. He does not need to control you. He makes you want to serve him. You will think you act freely, but your choices will have been shaped by the false mirror he placed before you. To shield yourself from such men, learn to look at action, not intention. A man may say he helps you out of friendship, but ask, what does he gain? A woman may speak of love, but watch how she moves in times of hardship. Words are tools of the manipulator. They say what you wish to hear to make you act as they wish you to act. This is the language of priests, of politicians, of courtiers. It is not the language of truth. It is the language of influence. Further, understand your own self-interest. If you do not know your desires, your fears, and your weaknesses, someone else will know them better. And when they do, they will use them. He who cannot name his needs is ruled by them. Do you crave respect? Then flattery will blind you. Do you fear loneliness? Then false friends will chain you. Do you wish to be seen as good? Then guilt will be the rope around your neck. If you seek to be free of manipulation, first master yourself. Men are not angels, and even the best of them will deceive when necessity demands it. History is filled with such examples: allies who became rivals, brothers who betrayed for thrones, lovers who poisoned for power. These are not rare exceptions. They are the natural order when stakes are high and ambition is near. One must learn to expect betrayal not with bitterness, but with calm readiness. That which is expected cannot wound. There are those who will say this view is too dark, that to suspect all motives is to live in suspicion. But what is better, to live in sweet ignorance and be a pawn, or to live with clear vision and remain unbowed? The manipulator thrives when you see him as noble. The moment you see him as he truly is, his power begins to wither. The man who cannot govern himself will always be governed by others. Of all the chains that bind a person, none are stronger than his own emotions. Fear, desire, anger, love. These are the levers by which one is lifted or thrown down. He who seeks to never be manipulated must begin by severing these levers from the hands of others. As long as another can stir your heart, he can steer your will. You must understand that emotion is the raw material of manipulation. The clever man does not command by force, He whispers to your fears, your hopes, your vanities. He paints pictures that provoke dread or promise salvation. You believe you are making choices, but you are merely reacting to the storms he has unleashed within you. He places you in a theater, gives you a mask, and makes you play the part he has written, while you applaud your own performance, thinking it is freedom. To escape such control, begin by disciplining your inner world. When insulted, remain still. When praised, be suspicious. When tempted, observe. Your emotions are natural, but their expression must be mastered. Let no man know what offends you, for then he holds a weapon. Let no woman see what excites you, for then she holds a leash. The more transparent your reactions, the easier it becomes to direct you. A ruler does not shout in council, nor does a general weep before the army. The one who wishes to command must first learn silence over his own impulses. Even more, learn to use the emotions of others, where you must withhold your own. You must observe theirs with precision. Men are seldom aware of their own weaknesses. They believe themselves rational, even as they rage, or plead, or hunger for esteem. This is where your advantage lies. If a man seeks admiration, feed it sparingly. If he fears rejection, give him hope, then retreat. If he burns with pride, offer a mirror in which he sees himself greater than he is. He will not notice the chain if it is adorned with flowers of his own desire. The strongest manipulation is not through lies, but through truths timed and delivered to awaken particular feelings. Say nothing when your words would only argue. Speak when silence has created curiosity, fear, or expectation. This is the principle of timing, not to act when you wish, but when the other is most ready to yield. The farmer does not tear the fruit from the tree. He waits for it to ripen, and then it falls into his hands with ease. So must you wait for the moment when your target, weakened by emotion, falls into your influence willingly. Do not imagine this requires cruelty. Even affection can be a blade if it is used with skill. Comfort can disarm where threats provoke resistance. The weak man who believes you understand his pain will open himself to your guidance. The proud woman who believes you admire her will seek your favor. The child, the lover, the soldier. They all respond not to logic, but to the feelings that logic never touches. One tear placed at the right moment can be more powerful than 1,000 commands. Observe the manipulators of history, those who ruled not by armies, but by emotion. The orator who stirred crowds to frenzy. The prophet who promised paradise. The revolutionary who painted visions of justice. They understood that the human soul does not move by reason, but by longing. They created symbols, stories, enemies, and heroes, not because these were real, but because they were felt. And when something is felt, it is believed. And when it is believed, it guides action more surely than any decree. You must also learn to fake emotion, not for the sake of deception alone, but because the show of feeling is a tool to lead others into their own. If you appear angry, you may provoke guilt. If you appear calm, you may induce panic. A tear may soften, a smile may disarm, but never let the mask slip into reality. Always remember that behind every displayed feeling, your will must remain untouched. You are not your anger. You are not your sadness. These are garments to be worn and discarded. Feel if you must, but never act because of feeling. Let it be a mask, not a master. And while you master your performance, study theirs. Know what makes them restless. Know what they envy, what they regret, what they fear when they are alone. This knowledge is more potent than gold or sword. The man who owns a secret fear owns the man himself. When a person acts wildly, speaks too much, reacts too quickly, you may be sure that he is not in control. And where there is no control, there is a door through which influence can pass unseen. Men judge by what they see and not by what they know. The world is not ruled by truth, but by appearances, and he who understands this wields power over those who do not. To remain unmanipulated, one must learn the game of masks, not to escape deceit, but to master it. It is not enough to be strong, wise, or just. One must be seen as such. A man who acts with cunning but wears the robe of virtue commands loyalty without suspicion and influence without resistance. To appear virtuous is not to be virtuous. It is to display mercy, integrity, and humility only when it serves a higher purpose. Men love the illusion of goodness more than its substance, for the illusion comforts them, flatters them, and requires nothing in return. Real virtue is heavy, often thankless. Its rewards are late and uncertain, but the shadow of virtue, that which can be displayed, praised, and repeated in whispers, has value that multiplies with each eye that sees it. The wise man adopts the manners of the age. In a time when people praise tolerance, he will show patience, though he may be cutting the legs from under his enemies in secret. In a time when justice is admired, he will speak of fairness, even as he tips the scales with invisible fingers. Do not mistake this for hypocrisy. It is the highest form of discipline. To act only when it is effective, to speak only what strengthens your position. The fool is sincere at all times. The prince selects his truths, like a merchant selects jewels, displaying only those that shine best in the current light. Why should one appear virtuous? Because virtue disarms. It silences critics, weakens enemies, and draws followers. If they believe you are honest, they will not question your motives. If they see you as merciful, they will not prepare for your retaliation. If they think you are loyal, they will entrust you with their secrets. Thus, the appearance of goodness becomes the cloak beneath which the sword is drawn. To show your ambition is to awaken rivals. To hide it behind benevolence is to rule unopposed. You must understand that the common man does not look deeply. He sees the surface, hears the words, and judges from the stage, not from the wings. He cannot imagine that a gentle voice masks a ruthless will, or that a generous hand conceals a calculating mind. This blindness is your advantage. Let your enemies waste their efforts proving how dangerous you are, while you speak calmly of cooperation and common purpose. Let your rivals claim you are false while you embrace them publicly. Accusation loses force when it is met with graciousness. The world will not believe in your cunning if your smile is warm enough. This is not to say you must never act with principle, but principles must be chosen not for their moral beauty, but for their utility. If mercy strengthens your hold, show mercy. If severity protects your realm, strike without hesitation. The truly powerful man knows when to play the saint and when to play the tyrant. He does not act from guilt or pity or shame, but from calculation. And should he err, he does not apologize. He reclaims the narrative, reminds the world of his prior virtues, and cloaks the present sin in necessity. The manipulation of others often depends not on force, but on perception. If people believe you are above manipulation yourself, they will lower their guard. They will confess, support, and even follow you willingly. This is the great secret. Those who think they have chosen their path freely are most easily led. A leader who appears virtuous becomes a symbol, and men will die for symbols without ever asking why. They will protect your interests, defend your image, and attack your critics, all while believing they act for a cause nobler than your ambition. Never show your strategy. Hide your motives behind noble intentions. Say you seek peace while preparing for conflict. Say you desire fairness while consolidating control. Say you are serving the greater good even as you remove those who stand in your way. So long as your words align with what people wish to believe, they will forgive what your hands have done. And when they discover the truth, it will be too late. The danger lies in forgetting the difference between appearance and essence. Many a ruler who wore the mask too long came to believe in it himself. He mistook public praise for private virtue, and in doing so, lowered his guard. Never fall in love with your image. It is a tool, not your identity. You must know the mask from the man. You must remember always that while they cheer your compassion and admire your restraint, you are building fortresses behind their applause. To remain unmoved by manipulation, one must become a keen observer of human weakness, not for cruelty's sake, but for protection. Manipulators do not strike like soldiers, they creep like shadows, seeking the cracks in your armor, the places where pride, fear, or hunger have left you exposed. The surest way to be used is to be unaware of where you are vulnerable. The surest way to remain sovereign over your own will is to know where others might seek to slip their fingers into your mind and bend your actions without your consent. Weakness takes many forms, and it is not always physical or loud. Sometimes it is ambition that burns too brightly, blinding a man to the consequences of his choices. Sometimes it is vanity, a craving to be seen, heard, admired. The most dangerous weakness is not the one you hide, but the one you celebrate. You believe it makes you noble. Your loyalty, your honesty, your trust in others. And yet these very things are the strings most often pulled. He who believes himself incorruptible is already the most easily corrupted, for he will not guard what he does not believe can be taken. The manipulator studies this well. He looks for what you need, not what you say you need, but what your actions betray. He listens when you speak of injustice done to you, when you repeat praise others have given, when you deny that something matters too much, because these are all signs that it matters more than it should. He observes your expressions, the way you lean forward when someone flatters you, the moment your voice rises in defense of your image. These are not accidents, these are signals. Each one tells him where to press, where to reward, where to tighten the leash. And what is the most common leash? Flattery. More than threats, more than lies, it is praise that opens doors. A man who fears punishment may resist. A man who is praised feels safe, honored, superior. He no longer questions the motives of the one who flatters him, for that man has become an ally, a supporter, a mirror reflecting only the best. In that mirror, he sees not the truth, but the version of himself he longs to believe. And once he needs that reflection, he belongs to its maker. Flattery is not always obvious. It can come dressed in subtle tones, the compliment hidden in a question, the admiration wrapped in concern, the appeal to your special understanding or your unique insight. The wise manipulator flatters not with broad strokes, but with precise touches. He praises your restraint after provoking you. He calls you generous when he needs your resources. He declares you irreplaceable just before he asks a favor. And each time you accept such praise without suspicion, you give him a portion of control. To guard against this, cultivate a private mirror, one that reflects without distortion. Know your own strengths so well that you do not need others to name them. Know your weaknesses so clearly that praise does not blind you and criticism does not surprise you. Self-knowledge is the most impenetrable armor. It makes you neither cold nor vain but precise. You cannot be seduced by those who offer what you do not lack. Yet detecting weakness in others is equally essential, for while you must guard your own, you must also understand theirs. The one who seeks to manipulate you often does so to cover his own vulnerability. The flatterer may fear rejection. The sycophant may crave security. The seducer may dread abandonment. Study not only the words of others, but their needs. Why do they approach you? What is it they want you to believe? What are they hiding in their eagerness? He who flatters you is building a trap. Ask yourself who benefits when you step inside it. Even among allies, beware the imbalance of praise. Those who praise too often seek to create debt. They aim to make you feel gratitude, obligation, even guilt. If someone insists that you are wise, generous, or noble, especially when it is not deserved, it is because they want you to behave as such, even at cost to yourself. And if you resist, they will remind you of who they said you were, turning the praise into expectation, and expectation into a blade. The most dangerous manipulators are those who do not appear as threats. They dress in loyalty, wrap themselves in shared history, speak of trust and understanding. They ask only small things, favors, time, a little influence, until those small things become large. By then, you have accepted their narrative of who you are: the loyal friend, the generous leader, the wise guide. You have been seduced not by bribes, but by identity, and that is the most powerful manipulation of all. To make you betray yourself in order to maintain the story you've accepted about who you must be. To walk free from manipulation, one must understand not only how to resist influence, but how to exert it. The world is not governed by sentiment. It is ruled by pressure, by perception, and by control. Fear and respect are the twin pillars of this power. Where one fails, the other must hold. He who is respected is obeyed from admiration. He who is feared is obeyed from necessity. Together, they make a man untouchable. Without them, he becomes a tool, a pawn, or a memory. Fear is misunderstood by the weak and misused by the reckless. It is not brutality nor cruelty nor loud threats. True fear is silent. It arises from the knowledge that you are not to be tested, that harm will follow betrayal, that your response to offense will be certain and decisive. You do not need to raise your voice or show your blade. The wise man punishes once and never has to again. The fool threatens 1,000 times and is never believed. Fear is best planted early, subtly, and with precision. It must be clean, just enough to deter, not enough to create rebellion. Respect is built slowly, like a fortress. It requires consistency, strength, clarity, and the impression that you do not bend. When others know your word is law, your boundary is fixed, and your decisions are not diluted by emotion or weakness, they begin to defer to you even when you are absent. This is not admiration for your charm. It is recognition of your discipline. A man who respects you does not flatter you. He listens when you speak and alters his course to avoid your disfavor. This kind of respect cannot be begged or bought. It must be earned in quiet strength and occasional severity. Many are manipulated because they seek to be liked. They fear the disapproval of others more than they fear being controlled. This is the fatal mistake of the agreeable. They trade sovereignty for approval. They allow others to dictate their behavior, adjust their opinions, soften their words, all to preserve an image of kindness. But the more they yield, the more they are tested. No man is respected who cannot say no. No man is feared who tries to please everyone. He who is liked may be loved, but he will also be used. To reverse this dynamic, one must become comfortable with discomfort. Learn to disappoint without apology. Say no without explanation. Enforce your standards without raising your voice. It is not necessary to be cruel, only unbending. The manipulator relies on your reluctance to be disliked. He will press your guilt, your conscience, your desire to seem fair. If you do not recoil from their disapproval, they lose their grip. The man who does not fear being misunderstood gains the ability to act with clarity. At times, you will need to use fear more directly. When betrayal has occurred, when your boundary has been tested, when someone seeks to diminish you through covert means, your response must be calculated, visible, and final. Forgiveness, when offered too freely, invites repetition. To make an example of one is to warn 100. This is not savagery, it is wisdom. The manipulator must know that playing games with you is costly. That behind your civility lies a line that, when crossed, will not be discussed, only acted upon. Once this lesson is taught, it seldom needs repeating. But fear alone cannot sustain power. Without respect, fear breeds hatred. And hatred, once fed, can wait years to take its revenge. Respect tempers fear. It makes your power feel earned, not stolen. It causes others to follow your lead not out of terror, but because they recognize your stability. A leader who is respected does not need to explain his every decision. His character has already explained it for him. A man who is respected will be consulted, considered, obeyed. Not because he demands it, but because to ignore him is to invite error. The delicate balance, then, is in knowing when to lean into fear and when to build respect. Do not mistake familiarity for loyalty, nor silence for agreement. Read the intentions behind words. Test the strength of a man by saying no to him and observing his reaction. If he respects you, he will adjust. If he only feared your kindness, he will resent you. Let that resentment reveal his true nature. Do not seek peace through surrender. Peace gained by compromise of principle is merely the first phase of manipulation. To command fear and respect is to become unshakable. It means you cannot be lured, baited, or seduced into weakness. You may be loved, but you are not softened by love. You may be praised, but you are not blinded by praise. Those who come to you with hidden motives will hesitate, unsure whether you can see through them. Those who once sought to bend you will now walk with caution. You will not need to prove your strength. It will radiate in your presence, in your speech, in your silence. And in that silence, the manipulators will hear their limits. To walk the path where no hand may steer you, and no voice may cloud your judgment, is to become the architect of your own destiny. Freedom from manipulation does not come by isolation, nor by blind resistance, but through mastery of self, of perception, of the subtle games that govern men's desires and fears. You must see the world as it is, not as it pretends to be. The faces of virtue, the language of emotion, the warmth of praise, these are tools often wielded to guide the unaware toward ends not their own. The man who rules himself cannot be ruled. He hides his emotions, but reads those of others. He cloaks his ambition in virtue, but strikes only with reason. He resists the lure of flattery, and sees in every compliment the shadow of a chain. He commands respect through consistency, and fear through clarity of consequence. He is neither cruel nor cold, only deliberate, only aware. While others act from feeling, he moves from understanding. While others seek to be loved, he ensures he is never used. This is not a life for the faint-hearted. It requires vigilance, discipline, and an unsentimental eye. But the reward is immense. No man controls you, no lie ensnares you, and no hand dares to guide yours. You remain untouched, except by your own will. And in this, you are not merely free, you are sovereign.